Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my first fall 2024 video, which is a collective book haul video. Now, how do you like the new setup? How do you like the background? I always film in front of my bookshelf and the fireplace, and there's nothing wrong with that. I like my bookshelf and I like my fireplace, but I wanted to spice things up and change things up a little bit. And since I've already decorated for fall, I thought that, hey, let's just use this new setup. And I also want to show you my decoration, because my fall decorations, well, most of my fall decorations are made by my mom, because she's fantastic. She is like a pro when it comes to knitting and crocheting, and I just wanted to show you some of the decorations that she made for me. I mean, come on. They're gorgeous. They're just gorgeous. But back to the books. As I said, this is a collective book haul video. I want to show you the books that I kind of gathered during the summer. And most of these books I have already read, but I have not featured every single one of these books in my reading vlogs, so probably you just don't know about them. Now, the last time when I did a book haul video, you guys actually really liked that I organized the video when I organized the book based on the method that I used to acquire them, because I can give you some tips and I can show you some websites that I actually use to get my books cheaper. So, you know, it can be a really useful information. So we are going to follow the same format in today's video. Okay, let's start today's video with 3 books that I thrifted. These are little free library founds, and you know exactly how much I love little free libraries because I vlog my experiences, right? I think that they are fantastic community features and I want to support them as much as I can. Like growing up, my mom didn't have the money to buy books for me, and our library, I grew up in a very small town, so our library, you know, it was not always on top of things, and we didn't have little free libraries. So, you know, it was not really easy to put my hands on books. And because of that, I really like to support little free libraries, and I don't like to take books. I usually just like to leave books, because now I'm in such a privileged position where I can afford to buy myself books. So I just don't want to take the books from people. But when I saw these books, I just couldn't resist. And when I show you the very first book, you guys will not believe me when I tell you that this is from a little free library, because who would leave this book in a little free library? And that is a special, I believe, Waterstones edition of Hamlet. I mean, how insanely gorgeous this book is. Like, I am definitely going to color that page, like no questions asked, you know. And look at the font size. Look at the font size in this book. I mean, this book is just insanely gorgeous. And when I saw this, yeah, Waterstones Book of the Year 2020, when I saw this, I was like, yes, you are coming home with me. No questions asked. The next one, and I vlogged finding this book, so you probably remember this one, is The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. I got this book because the first book in the series, The Ex-Hex, that is also from the book of the month, and this one is also from the book of the month. So it was like, you know what? They will match if I end up liking this one. I really like The Ex-Hex, so I think I will also like this one, and this is on my October TBR. I cannot wait to get to this book and to read this book. And the last book, well, I don't really know how I feel about this one. I took it anyways. I was thinking that, you know what, if I don't like this, I can just always put it back to a little free library. And when I saw this book, Maktab, by Paulo Coelho, I had no idea that this book existed, because this is kind of like a companion novel to The Alchemist. And I remember the very first time when I read The Alchemist, it was like a life-changing book for me. I have reread it at least once or twice. It's not that life-changing anymore. But you know, the very first time when I read it, it was life-changing, and I adore the cover of The Alchemist and the design. And when I saw this and the color combination of purple, is it pink? I think it's pink, purplish pink and green. I mean, are you freaking kidding me? So I took this book, but again, I don't really know what to expect from this book, because it kind of seems like that these are just like meditations, like, you know, read 1 page a day type of meditation. So I have no idea. If I don't like it, again, I can just like put it back into a little free library. But yeah, these are the 3 books that I actually thrifted. Okay, next, I actually want to show you 5 new releases. I get my new releases from Amazon. I'm not gonna lie, because they are significantly cheaper. I don't know like what's happening, but the new releases, maybe it is because they only come out first in hardback in the US, but new releases are so insanely expensive. And look, if I can save money by ordering them from Amazon, then that is exactly what I'm going to do. And these 2 were actually pre-orders, and the first one, it's not gonna be a surprise because we all know how I feel about T. Kingfisher. It is her newest book, A Sorceress Comes to Call. Can we just admire that cover for a second? Purple with gold. And look at that. Look at that art. Come on. I mean, T. Kingfisher, sign me up. I don't even have to read the synopsis. Like, sign me up. And then the next one. Again, no explanation needed. Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid. I have not read anything by Ava Reid. This will be my first book by her. Come on, look at the cover. And look at, again, the art and just how insanely gorgeous this book is. I mean, look at that pink. Look at that hot pink. And there's a dragon there. I don't know why there's a dragon there, but I guess I will find it out once I finished the book. Yeah, this is the second new release that I ordered. And then the other 3. Long Live Evil. This is, based on the synopsis, this is like such a unique book, because this is like a book in a book situation, when there's a girl who upon dying gets into her favorite fantasy romance novel, but as the villain. It's like, say less. This is something that I am picking up, and certainly I am reading that book. Okay, the next new release that I picked up, and this is something that I've already read, that's Tangled Up in You by Christina Lauren, and this is the retelling reimagination of Disney's Tangled. And again, it was a say less situation to me, because I freaking adore Tangled, and I had to read this book, and I actually really like this book. When the author said that this is like a reimagination or retelling of Tangled, like they really meant it. Like, it was exactly like Disney's Tangled, just in a modern, like contemporary world. I really enjoyed it. I can actually, like, honestly recommend this book to you guys. And the last new release that I want to show you guys, and I actually think I picked this up from a bookstore because I had store credit with that bookstore. I did not get this through Amazon, but that is All Is Fair in Love and War by Virginia Heath. You guys know exactly how I feel about historical romances, right? And reading the synopsis, this book felt like a historical romance version of The Sound of Music. It's not, but I read it and I really enjoyed this book regardless. So this is also something that I can recommend. This was my first book by Virginia Heath and probably not the last one. Now, as far as new releases go, I think that those are all the new releases that I picked up. Okay guys, the next 3 books, these are Brandon Sanderson books that I actually got from Target. So this is kind of like a double historical moment in this video, because I've talked about this before, but when it comes to Brandon Sanderson, I just felt like so intimidated by his books, because this whole Cosmere universe is just so insanely big, and I just wasn't sure that I wanted to start his series, right? Like 20 something or 30 something books. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. But the time has come to start my Brandon Sanderson journey. And I've actually already started my Brandon Sanderson journey, because I read Warbreaker. And when I tell you guys that this is one of the best freaking fantasy books that I've ever read in my life, then, you know, it's not an exaggeration. But I've also picked up Mistborn, fantastic book, and Elantris. I have not finished Elantris yet. I started it and I'm a couple of chapters in, and I actually really like it. And people say, and even Brandon Sanderson says, that this is not, like, you know, his best book. And I was like, I'm already loving it. Like, whatever. If this is not your best book, then I have no idea, you know, what's coming my way when I actually start reading the Stormlight Archives and all those books. I mean, fantastic. I don't have to come here and tell you that Brandon Sanderson is a fantastic writer, but like, I am here telling you that Brandon Sanderson is a fantastic writer. What was so weird to me when it comes to the Brandon Sanderson books, like, it was so hard to source these books. And the very first time in my life, I actually bought books in Target. Again, historical moment. I have no idea why it is so hard to get his books. But when I tried to get Warbreaker and Mistborn in my bookstore, they were like, no, we don't have them, and they didn't have specifically these editions that I wanted. And I was like, what the hell is happening? And then they were like, okay, but we can order them in. You have to wait 30 days. And then they told me how much the book is and the shipping. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? So then I went up onto Amazon. And I was like, you know, you can buy everything on Amazon. Not Brandon Sanderson books. I mean, you can of course buy them, but then you have to pay extra shipping. And again, that shipping fee, like $8. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And then one day I was at Target and I was like, okay, let's just check out the books. I usually don't do that because I don't know why. I have absolutely no idea why, but I always associated Target with BookTok books, right? I was wrong. Target actually sells an amazing selection of books, and these were there, so I bought them. When it comes to Elantris, this is something though that I had to order from the UK, because Blackwell's had a much better price for Elantris than any like US site. So yeah, I did not expect this. I know that there is something going on between Brandon Sanderson and Audible, right? I don't know, because I didn't really do my research on the topic, but again, I just didn't expect that you cannot get Brandon Sanderson books from Amazon. I mean, you can, but again, the price is like, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So anyways, that's the little story with the 3 Brandon Sanderson books. Target. Now I will have Target on my list when it comes to book shopping. All right, the next set of books. How to do this? I just don't want these books to end up on the floor, so just wait a second. Look at all these Tessa Dare books. Just look at all these Tessa Dare books. I told you guys that I was going through a Tessa Dare phase in the summer, and I was not kidding. I've read every single one of these Tessa Dare books in the summer. Okay, now just let me show you the books individually. There are 3 books that I actually got from Amazon, but all the other ones I got used from Goodwill Books. Specifically when it comes to historical romance, I think that it's such a fantastic website, because you can buy any of these books for like, I don't even know, like max $5, and the shipping is not that much. So it's absolutely worth it, and you can support such a good cause. So most of my historical romances, especially if it's like Tessa Dare, it is coming from Goodwill Books. Now let me show you the individual books. I organized them by series, and the very first series, and I actually freaking adored this series. This is one of her like older series, and that is the Stud Club. And I know exactly what you guys think. When I say Stud Club, I know exactly what you guys think, but stud is like, it's actually a horse. Like, it refers to a stallion. Okay, I mean, yeah. Okay, the very first book is One Dance with a Duke. I adored that one. The first book was amazing. Twice Tempted by a Rogue. This is the second book. I didn't like this that much. When it comes to my Tessa Dare books, I kind of feel that it's usually her second books in a series that like usually flops. I didn't like this much, but still, like, you know, even when it's like not a good Tessa Dare book, it is still a fantastic historical romance. Like, a not so good Tessa Dare is still better than any other historical romances out there, you know what I mean. And then the third book, and I actually really like this one. I think maybe this is my favorite, and that is Three Nights with a Scoundrel. I really like that one. Okay, the next is Lady of Persuasion. This is the only book that I read in this series, and yeah, it was really good. Again, these are kind of like her older books. Next, Lord Dashwood Missed Out. This is just a little novella. I needed a very quick Tessa Dare fix, and I read this novella. This was fine. Next, Romancing the Duke. I really like that one, and I actually highly recommend that book. Next, Say Yes to the Marquess. This was okay, but not the best Tessa Dare book that I've ever read in my life. I think that Romancing the Duke is much better when it comes to this particular series. And next is the rest of the Spindle Cove series, because I started my Tessa Dare journey with the Spindle Cove series, right? And it was time to finish it. The Beauty and the Blacksmith. Again, this is just a little novella. It was fine. And then the other two books, Night to Surrender and A Lady by Midnight. This is the very first book in the Spindle Cove series. I didn't like this that much. I'm actually happy that I didn't start my Tessa Dare journey and this whole series with this book, because this didn't work for me that well. But Lady by Midnight, this was so good. But the other two books in this series, Any Duchess Will Do and A Week to Be Wicked, I adore them. I adore them. But this series is wrapped, finished. And her newest series, which is possibly my favorite series from her, oh my god, it's just so good. I think the series is called Girl Meets Duke, and it's not finished yet. And we all know that she is taking a break, so the series is 4 books, but she's only published 3. The Duchess Deal, freaking masterpiece, one of the best books that Tessa Dare has ever written. The Governess Game, I don't know which one I like more. Read these two from her, amazing. The third book in the series, The Wallflower Wager, I didn't like this. I didn't like this as much as the other two. But again, I can only repeat myself. Like, even a Tessa Dare book that's kind of like a flop, that's still better than any other historical romances out there. So yeah, again guys, when I said I adore Tessa Dare and I want to read every single book that she's ever written, I was not lying. I never lied to you. I never lied to you. Now, you know how much I love Tessa Dare. Okay, 3 more historical romances, and then we move on with other books, because oh my god, I have so many books to show you, Jesus. So these 3 historical romances, because I am running out of Tessa Dare books, right? I still have a couple of books that are on her backlist that I can read, because I haven't finished yet, but I'm just trying to spread them out, right? But I tried 2 other authors. One of them is Anne Gracie, I should say, and then also Kate Bateman. Now, The Perfect Rake, this was not really for me. I finished it. It was fine. It was just like not like I expected a little bit more, you know. But when it comes to Kate Bateman, I think that these books were actually pretty nice, and I think I will definitely finish this series from her. And I ask you guys for historical romance recommendations that are kind of like similar to Tessa Dare, and I know that one of you guys already recommended the author Lisa Kleypas, I believe that's her name. Demit, thank you so much for your recommendation. If you have any other like historical romance authors who are like Tessa Dare, I mean, I know that nobody is Tessa Dare because Tessa Dare is Tessa Dare. She is in her own lane and nobody can really compete with her. But if you have any other like, recommendations for me, I would really appreciate that. I am definitely picking up the Lisa Kleypas books and the series that you recommended for me because you recommended 2 series for me. So yeah, I am definitely picking that up. Okay, now let's just move on from Tessa Dare and from historical romances. And I want to show you some books that I bought used. Ugh. I need to go to the gym. Or maybe I just like need to use heavier weights in the gym because I'm so weak. I need a hydration bag. Okay, back to the books. I got these books from a bookstore. It's a gigantic bookstore. Maybe this is like the biggest bookstore in Boston, and it's like a 2-floor bookstore, and on the ground floor they only sell new books, but then in the basement, and I dare to say that the basement is actually bigger than the ground floor, they only sell used books, and the collection is insane. So now every time I go to that bookstore, which is not very often, but when I go to that bookstore, I actually go downstairs immediately. I look at the used selection because even like new releases and whatever, you can like find them there in the used selection. And these ones I got from that bookstore. The very first book is a Mary Oliver poetry collection, Devotions. I've been thinking to pick up her poetry collection Upstream, and then when I saw this, and like basically this book has her most famous poems and there is a specific section for Upstream, I was like, you know what? Let me just get this one. And this is like, oh my god, there are so many poems here, so I think I will get my Mary Oliver fix, you know? And then also another, again, used book that I picked up at that bookstore is One for My Enemy by Olivia Blake. I picked this book up because of the cover. 1, it's gorgeous. 2, I am definitely going to color this book cover. I mean, come on, let's be real here. And also, I don't know, like everybody is recommending this book. Everybody says that it is a fantastic book. When it comes to Olivia Blake, I didn't like her, what's the name of that series? The Atlas Paradox or whatever. I didn't like that. And I also didn't like that other book that I read from her. What was that? Oh, I don't remember. I will put it on the screen. So I cannot say that I'm a big Olivia Blake fan. This is gonna be the last chance. If this book works for me, just something that I want, then okay. If it doesn't, then probably I will give up on Olivia Blake. Next, I also got Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. I have no idea what to expect from this book. I usually like don't really buy books from influencers, but you know what? It has been on my TBR. It actually piqued my interest, so this is something that I am going to read. Another book that has been on my TBR for the longest time, and it is time to pick it up and read it. And when I saw it in the bookstore and it was like, what, $3 because it's not in the best condition, that is The Beekeeper of Aleppo. This is like a Syrian refugee story, and again, it's been on my TBR for like, I cannot even tell you how long, so it is time to read it. The next book that I picked up is Paris, the memoir, again on my TBR for a very long time since I read the Britney Spears book, so I want to read this one. Next is something that I picked up specifically for December. This is One Day in December, contemporary romance book. I also picked up a short story collection. I love short story collection, and this one, just look at that cover. When I saw the cover, I was like, of course I'm picking this up. Like, Like, no question, really. Oh, and then the last book now. This is something that I ordered online from a used bookstore, because if you watch my vlog, then you know that I wanted the specific white cover. The specific white cover for the Watchers, because I think it's like fantastic. And I'm pretty sure that the newest book that comes out in the series that will have like a similar cover, so that's the one I wanted. And online they advertised that cover when I ordered the book, and it was more expensive than the new version of this cover, and then they sent me this cover. I was like, oh, whatever. I have not decided yet. Should I keep it? Should I return it and then try to hunt down the white cover, or should I just leave it like that? I don't know. I don't like Hollywood movie covers. Like, why do we do that? Can we just like stop doing that? Okay, the last set of physical books. Let's just start with romantasy and fantasy, and like one dark academia book that is kind of like supposed to be like a gothic dark academia and romance book, and that is Nocticadia. This book takes place in Maine. It's a no-brainer that I am picking this up and I am reading this book, okay? Next is 3 fantasy romance books, because I don't know when was the last time when I read a fantasy romance. I think the last fantasy romance that I read was the 3rd Crescent City book by Sarah J. Maas. And since then I have not read any fantasy romance, which is like, what is happening? Last year I was hooked on fantasy romance. I read like 65 fantasy romance books, and then not that many this year. I need to fix that because I do adore the genre. So I picked up Thrown in the Dark. When I saw that cover, it's like purple. Of course, I am reading this. No questions asked. I also bought The Witch Collector. I don't really know what to expect this book, but I kind of want to read it in like the winter, or when it is colder outside, because apparently it takes place in the winter. I also got An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, and can we just like admire the cover of this book, that color combination, the red, the purple, the gold. And when I buy and read all 4 books, this picture that is in the book, the spine is actually going to form that picture. This book feels so amazing, and look at that font size, look at that print. Oh my god, I just want to like touch this book. Okay, 2 more fantasy books. One is a horror, and then the other one is a George R.R. Martin book, and I've read both of these books and they are freaking amazing. One of them is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. Maybe some of you know this author as Shannon McGuire. Wow, what a book this was. Oh my god, it's one of the best books I've read in 2024. And the best book probably so far that I've read in 2024, and the best fantasy book and world that I've ever read in my life. That has to be Fire and Blood by George R.R. Martin. You know, I am trash for The House of the Dragon, and I mean, well, I was trash for the first season. The second season, I don't know. I kind of feel that after episode 4, everything just went a little bit south. Anyways, I had to pick up the book, and I had to read the original material, and this was my first book from George R.R. Oh wait, no, that's a lie. No, that's a lie. I've read 2 Game of Thrones books, just not in English. I read like the translated version because back in those days I didn't speak English. I couldn't read in English. So this was not my first George R.R. Martin book, but oh my god. This book is a freaking masterpiece, and I have no idea how George R.R. Martin was able to create that universe. Oh my god, I have so much respect for this man, which is not something I say often, okay? All right, 3 more books that I want to show you. One of them is a contemporary romance book that I picked up during the summer because I wanted this to be one of my beach reads. I never got around reading it, but this is Emma of 83rd Street. And apparently this is like a modern contemporary style retelling of Emma that I didn't like. Yeah, I still cannot believe that. Anyways, I hope that I will like this modern retelling of Emma, at least. And then I also picked up The Truth Hurts because I was in a thriller mood, and this is like, you know, just a very quick read, and I actually ended up really liking this book. And I think that this is the only thriller that I've read so far this year. Yeah. Okay, next is another short story collection, because again, guys, I love short story collection, and I'm kind of going through the short story collection phase again, and that is Walk the Blue Fields by Claire Keegan, who is an Irish author, and I have almost all of her short story collections on my TBR, and I have to start somewhere. So this is the one that I picked up because of the cover. Because can we just like look at that cover? Gorgeous. All right, I want to finish this video with some of the audiobooks that I actually purchased, because I realized that when it comes to my book haul videos, I never really include my audiobooks, but I think I should. And Audible had this gigantic sale. Was it the beginning of the summer? Oh, I don't remember exactly. And I got quite a lot of audiobooks. They were like super cheap. Like some of these books were like $2-3. So I was like, please, I am reading these books. Okay, so the very first book on my list is The Will of the Many. This was the rage last year, right, on BookTube. So certainly it is a book that I need to check out. I got it. Next is The City of Ruin, which I believe is the second book in the Witch Collector series. And I am like pretty sure that I also picked up the third book, because again, these were on sale, and I think like the books were like $2 or something like that. So I got them. And also I got another fantasy romance book, Blood Mercy. This is like such a big series. I think it's got 8 books in the series already. Maybe it's time to start reading it. I also picked up another fantasy romance book, Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. You guys know exactly how I feel about Carissa Broadbent, and I really want to read this one. I think this is a standalone on my list. And I also picked up 2 horror books. One of them is From Below by Darcy Coates. And I never read anything by Darcy Coates, and I think that this book will be fantastic for the spooky season. And also Youth Juice. I picked up Youth Juice because, one, Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang. That is basically a commentary on the beauty industry. It was one of the best books that I read last year. And when I read the synopsis for Youth Juice, I was like, this is kind of similar. So I am going to pick it up. You guys know that if you watch my vlogs, but I am freaking obsessed with skincare. And I cannot even tell you how many influencers, skinfluencers I am following. So, you know, this is kind of like a book that was written for me. So again, I picked it up. Now you guys let me know if you read any of these books and what you thought of these books. And also let me know if you got a book recommendation from this video. I really want to know. And again, don't forget to recommend me some Tessa Dare dupes. That's like such a silly way to say it, Tessa Dare dupes. Some historical romances that are similar to the Tessa Dare style. Oh wow, this is it, guys. This is the end of the video. If you are still here watching, wow, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Now hit share, like, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I have a lot of fun bookish videos coming up in the fall. Fall is our season in New England, okay? This is when we all come to life. I will leave some other video recommendations on the screen, probably here and here, while you are waiting for my next upload, which is coming very soon. Bye!